Hey guys, I'm gonna talk about nature of teaching. These are the basic fundamentals, basic ideologies that we should, as a teacher, we all, should be familiar with these terms, with these theories. We say. So I'm going to read read for you today. Let's start. Nature of teaching is revealed to us fully if we try to enlist its fundamental characteristics. We should all know about fundamental basic characteristics of teaching. Then we will able to be familiar with the nature of teaching, how teaching works. Okay, so if I read a few characteristics of teaching, that will be: teaching is not one sided. Any teaching which keeps the teacher active and does not care for the learners is not teaching at all, howsoever good the teacher may be. Both the teacher and the learners have to be fully active. It is therefore not one sided affair only. The teacher is face to face with the students. They interact with him, her, and cause teaching learning. The real teacher is able to create something good by his her formal and informal contacts with the learners. Okay, and above all, teaching which keeps the teacher alone active but the students are just passive listeners is not teaching in the real sense of the word teaching. Okay, though the many so-called teachers and administrators may name it teaching, and what goes on in the routine type of teaching situations may not be teaching really. Okay, so that here we come with the point, that is, teaching is not one sided. Okay, so यहीं से हमारा नेक्स्ट पॉइंट भी निकलता है. सो टीचिंग इज वन साइडेड नहीं है तो क्या है? टीचिंग इज अ बाइपोलर प्रोसेस. The saying that teaching is a bipolar process is true, which means it is a two-way process, one-to-one conversation, one-to-one interaction. Okay, in the process of teaching, both the teacher and the learner are engaged actively. Now, in the context of modern developments, teaching is a tripolar process. Nowadays, teaching have been like a tripolar process. How? Because the surroundings, the environment in which teaching learning goes on cannot be excluded. Okay, our surroundings also play a very important role in our teaching. Okay, so it plays an equally important role, our surroundings. Any teaching learning which is devoid of the environment or surroundings, an incomplete process of teaching, I may say. Through teaching, the learner is enabled to exist successfully in his environment. So the trio, the teacher, the learner, and the environment play unique roles in the process of teaching. Okay, so teaching is a bipolar process. Teaching is not an individual activity. It does not take place in a vacuum. Okay, it takes place in some social setup where the teacher aims at improving the behavior of the individual or some social groups. He also furthers the physical, cultural, moral, academic growth of the individuals. In this process of all round growth and development of social beings, the teacher also comes out to be a far better individual with his her knowledge updated and enriched. Okay, so teaching is not an individual activity. Got it? Teaching is both formal and informal. We all know teaching may occur formally or it may also be there informally. In both the ways, it meets the desired ends by large. In the classroom, the teacher and the students meet in a formal way and teaching takes place. Outside the classroom also, the teacher and the students meet where teaching does take place, but that is informal teaching. Both formal and informal ways help in reaching the desired goals. Okay, so teaching is both formal and informal. Teaching is related to time and place. Teaching is always concerned with the social setup of life and cultural environment of the people, means relating to and connected with people. The society, its values, ideals, etc. go on changing with the passage of time. Hence, teaching also undergoes some changes. In a democratic setup of life, teaching is based on the principles of democracy. The teacher gives importance to democratic values of life. Yeah, teaching also varies from place to place. In India, teaching is carried on a different way. In the USA, or you can say USSR, teaching will have to be different because of its different place. Because in accordance with the norms of those places. Okay, so teaching is related to time and place. Teaching is an art. Every Tom, Dick and Harry cannot be good at teaching. Okay, it is an art which is favorite of the selected few. Such persons have craze for teaching. They find themselves fully engrossed in the process of teaching. Surely with them, teaching is more a mission than a profession. Surely with them, teaching is more a mission than a profession. Edison rightly points out that as a sculptor is to a block of marble, so is education to the human soul. The teacher unconsciously designs the child entrusted to him. And always and in every case and in every situation, the teacher is proceeding in his teaching with a purpose, and accordingly she modifies the child under her charge. Okay, so teaching is both an art as well as a science, as Silverman expresses it in the following words. I'm going to say. To be sure, teaching, like the practice of medicine, is very much an art, which is to say, it calls for exercise of talent and creativity. But like medicine, it is also a science, for it involves a repertoire of techniques, procedures and skills that can be systematically studied and described and improved. A good teacher, like a great doctor, is one who adds creativity and inspiration to the basic repertoire. Repertoire, you can understand, like a stock of skills or types of behavior that a person habitually uses. Okay, that is repertoire. Teaching an interactive process. Teaching is an interactive process. How? See, teaching is an interactive process which is carried out for the attainment of some specific purposes and objectives. हमारे कुछ specific purposes होते हैं, objectives होते हैं, उनको लेकर हम चलते हैं teaching में. ठीक है? The purpose may be academic growth of the learner, her physical improvement, making him/her economically sound, making him/her bold and courageous, so that he/she may resist and exist well in the present conditions of life. So teaching is an interactive process. Teaching is worthy of observation and analysis. Teaching can be observed, analyzed and assessed. The analysis and assessment may provide essential feedback for bringing desirable improvement in the process of teaching. Okay, the improvement can be brought about in the teacher, in the learner, or in the teaching learning situations. Okay, so these are all flexible. हम change कर सकते हैं environment को accordingly जैसा भी हमें चाहिए. So teaching is worthy of observation and analysis. Teaching is dominated by the communication skills. टीचिंग में सबसे ज़्यादा चीज़ जो मैटर करती है वो क्या है? टीचर की कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स. सो द वेरियस कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स डोमिनेट द प्रोसेस ऑफ टीचिंग. द बेटर द कम्युनिकेशन, द बेटर इज द प्रोसेस ऑफ टीचिंग. In fact, the communication skills make the process of teaching lively and ultimately a process. Teaching is a conscious process The most effective part of it is generally the part of which we are unaware. In many situations, teaching goes on very unwittingly, and then it is as meaningful as otherwise. Teaching is task oriented. Teaching is a process both of conscious and unconscious type. Teaching is a process where the objectives are already fixed up. Objectives हमारे पहले से ही fixed up हैं कि हमें ये हमारे objectives हैं, ये aims हैं, teaching के through हमें ये outcomes लेके आनी है. So teaching के objectives जो हैं are already fixed up. Teaching has to ensure the attainment of those objectives. Okay. टीचिंग इज टास्क ओरिएंटेड. टीचिंग को टास्क मिला है कि ये ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आपको अटेन करने हैं. ओके, सो टीचिंग में टास्क होते हैं. टीचिंग एज साइंस. टीचिंग साइंस भी है. कैसे? द साइंटिफिक अप्रोच टू टीचिंग the scientific approach to teaching advocated by Davis points out that teaching is a process of managing human behavior for learning. It is a scientific process and its major components are content, communication and feedback. It is a scientific process and its major components are content होता है हमारे पास, communication होती है and feedback होती है. Okay, so these are the major components of teaching. तो जिसमें एक systematic process हुई तो वो क्या हो गया? साइंस से रिलेट कर गया. टीचिंग इज मोटिवेशन टू लर्न. Burton considers teaching as the stimulation, guidance, direction and encouragement to learning. It does not mean only to provide information, but teaching means to motivate the students to learn, as it is a fact that a poor teacher tells, an average teacher explains, a good teacher demonstrates, and a great teacher inspires. I'll repeat again. A poor teacher tells, वो सिर्फ बताएगा कि ये कर लो, ऐसे ऐसे करना है, ठीक है. An average teacher explains, एक एवरेज टीचर हमें एक्सप्लेन करके देगा चीज़ों को, समझाएगा चीज़ों. A great teacher demonstrates, a good teacher क्या करेगा? Demonstrate करेगा चीज़ों को, वो डेमो दे के बताएगा ये ऐसे होता है, ये ऐसे होता है. But a great teacher inspires. जो ग्रेट टीचर्स होते हैं वो इंस्पायर करते हैं बच्चों. टीचिंग एज कॉन्टिनम. कॉन्टिनम मीन्स टीचिंग इज अ कॉन्टिनम फॉर डेवलपिंग बिहेवियर टू द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ बिलीव्स. टीचिंग क्या है? कॉन्टिनम है. किसके लिए? बिलीव्स, हमारे जो फैक्ट्स बनते हैं, क्रिएट होते हैं हमारे माइंड में, बिलीव्स हमारे विश्वास, हमारे ट्रस्ट जो फॉर्मेशन होती है कहाँ से होती है? बिहेवियर से. बिहेवियर कहाँ से बनता है? टीचिंग से. टीचिंग हैज़ 4 मोड्स ऑफ ऑपरेशन, दैट इज कंडीशनिंग करना, ट्रेनिंग करना, इंस्ट्रक्शन करना एंड इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन. दस टीचिंग स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम कंडीशनिंग एंड रीचेज अप टू इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन. कंडीशनिंग से शुरू होती है. I'll write here conditioning. These are the four modes of operation. Conditioning करना, then training, and then instruction देना, okay, and then indoctrination. Clear? The real teacher is wedded to teaching. The real teacher is like he or she wedded to teaching. It is rather impossible to separate him/her from teaching. In the course of her teaching, the teacher mirrors himself/herself into the child. Teacher अपने आप को बच्चे में देखता है, and she puts indelible stamp on the young, growing plastic mind. The hard fact is that the child is what her teacher has made him/her. The nation needs good teachers today. Let the teachers rise to the occasion and come up to the expectations of all concerned by doing their duties towards the children earnestly. ईमानदारी से करें. Teachers' performance is the most crucial input in the field of education. Teachers' performance is the most crucial input in the field of education. However lofty the aims, however up to date and abundant the equipment. However effective the administration, whatever the policies may be laid down, in the ultimate analysis, these have to be interpreted and implemented by the teachers as much through their personal examples as through teaching learning process. Only to give knowledge of limited courses is not teaching. Its main aim is to maintain the mind of the child, which should not depend upon the choices of the teacher. It also depends upon the liking of the learner. I'll repeat again. In the words of Rabindranath Tagore, the basis of teaching are love, understanding, and care. Freedom should be given to the students in order to express themselves. The teacher is the moving spirit in all this. He is considered or she is considered a guide and a friend who understands the child well. One who has lost the child in himself herself is totally unfit to undertake the task of educating children. Thank you. And now, after a lot of studying, you deserve this bit of music. Enjoy.